And the thing is, I don't really know if this was a thing where either the case was I knew somewhat about it before most people in the general public, or the general public kind of knew more about it before I did, because I had heard of it and I was kind of surprised not more people were talking about it. But then at the same time, it's kind of become a bigger, topic of discussion, and I wasn't really thinking about it then. So I don't know which came first, but anyway, I have heard about this. I don't know exactly when I officially heard about it, but I kind of assumed there would be one for a while just because this trend of musician biopics. And I think I've said it before, I'm not the biggest fan of this new trend that's happening. And part of the reason is because so many of them just seem so self-serving to the artist. It does not even really depend if they're alive or not, because, some of them can just be for their estate or for their loved ones or whatever, which, I mean, okay, that's fine, I guess. But, I've yet to see one that really analyzed, one of these musicians for the good and the bad, that not just they were in their life, but that they did as well. I'd like to see one like that. I don't know if there will ever be one, or at least in anytime soon in this current trend. But Michael Jackson's getting one, and the thing is, I was wondering, I was wondering when this would happen. I was sure it would at some point, because he to this day is one of the most famous and in some ways celebrated musicians of all time. So I was wondering when that would happen, and now's the time, I guess. And the thing is, if I've been concerned about them before, and this is kind of the main topic of this discussion, if I was concerned about them being self-serving before, I'm pretty sure this one isn't going to break the mold of that, and we're going to get into why soon. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, what I really don't like about the idea of this movie happening is he is clearly a very controversial figure, to put it lightly, Michael Jackson. And I just don't feel like a self-serving, biopic is going to ring true to someone like me, who I guess maybe is a bit more cynical. I don't know. And I'm not even going to go into if he did what he was accused of or not, which I guess that's what I'm getting into when I call him controversial. I mean, there are other reasons why he was controversial in terms of, the fact that he was just kind of a strange guy. I mean, I don't mean to disrespect the dead any, but, that's something where I feel like even his fans don't really disagree with that. And I guess, my opinion on Michael Jackson, I do like his music, I enjoy his music. I'm not going to get into, the personal things of whether or not I think he did what he was accused of. And that's the thing, I don't really want to, offend anyone on accident by saying the words I'm not even going to say, but you know what I'm talking about. And so I'm not going to get into that, but I mean, I do enjoy his music, maybe less than a lot of people, but I enjoy it fine, I think most people did. But I just don't feel like for someone like me who kind of looks for more in these movies, the Michael Jackson biopic is going to just work for me. I feel like, there aren't really people who have had those kind of allegations leveled against them, I feel like, who have also spoken. I mean, not who've also spoken, who have also had these movies made for them. I don't think Freddie Mercury did, or Elton John did, or anything like that. But that's kind of the thing where that's the point. One of the points I'm going to kind of keep going back to, which is I don't think there can be an honest Michael Jackson biopic without addressing those allegations against him. But the truth is, we're going to get into why this particular one I don't think will be, do a good job at that either. But I don't really know if any biopic would be willing to do that. So, maybe it's just a thing about the subject matter in general and not just this biopic. But the thing that really made me think, okay, they're clearly not going to touch on this, is that Michael Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, I believe is how you say his name correctly, he's going to be playing him in the movie. So I'm not even going to go into whether that's nepotism or not or whatever, because, who cares, okay? It's a Michael Jackson movie, who cares if they cast him just because he's related to Michael Jackson? I don't care. But, that just kind of shows the way they're looking at him in this movie, the fact that they would cast a relative of Michael Jackson to play him in the movie. I mean, that kind of shows the direction they're going with for this movie. And I mean, I will give him credit that he does. I have seen photos of him for this movie, and I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen a photo of him that was not for this movie. I guess he's done stuff besides the movie, which is the other reason why it's not really nepotism, I guess, because I think he's somewhat established as an actor. Maybe, I mean, he's nowhere to the point where he overshadows his father. I don't think that would be controversial to say, but I'm sure there are people who know of him. But I will say that to give him his credit, I don't know if he had to do anything for that, but he does look somewhat like him. And Michael Jackson will be a hard person to play in any movie, just because, obviously his appearance changed a lot over the years, and that's kind of the question: do you get multiple actors to play Michael Jackson for a movie? I mean, I think, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's he looked. If you can take, you can pinpoint any two eras of his life, and he will have looked different. I don't even really mean the whole, his skin changing color. I mean, he changed a lot just in general. Back kind of before that, the Michael Jackson when he was younger, like let's say the mid 70s or whatever, when he was starting, became an adult and starting his solo career. But he looked much different than from then than even just 10 years later, and that's just his skin had the vitiligo, I believe, is the name of his condition. That I don't want to make statements like it barely sunk in or whatever, because that's like I am not a doctor, I'm not educated on that. So I don't know if it was he just wasn't diagnosed with it yet, or that it hadn't really taken as much effect yet. But he already looked different. And I'm not gonna get into the speculation of if he had the plastic surgeries or whatever. I mean, well, I guess I'll just say we all. The thing is the sexual assault allegations against him. Might as well just say it. That's the thing where no one can make a definite judgment besides those involved about what happened. And Michael Jackson's passed away. I mean, we all have eyes. We all saw, Michael Jackson's appearance somewhat change, and that's by his own admission. He admitted to having gotten some plastic surgeries. I think he said just 2 or something like that. And I'll leave it there because I'll just let you make your own judgments on what you think, whether or not he did it, but or whether or not he got those plastic surgeries. I need to make clear that's what we're talking about here. I mean, I don't think there's any chance I would get sued or anything for saying anything, considering that that implies someone in Michael Jackson's family is listening to this program, which they're not. But I'm just saying, whatever. I'll let you make your own judgments on that. But I will just say the thing is with this. This all just came from. I guess Michael Jackson's nephew is a good person to play him because he does look like him. And again, shocker, his family members look like him. But still, I think that he does look like him. There are some photos that recently dropped, which is kind of why this became as much of a discussion of him. And, he does look like him. I mean, because, like I said, I never seen a picture of him. And I guess this just shows how lazy I am because I never even planned to. But whenever I heard he was playing him, I just thought, they're just getting him because he's his family and because he'll play him the way that he'll play Michael as this, perfect angel or whatever because he's his family. So, okay, fine, whatever. But I will say, I do understand why they cast him when you see photos of him. He does have a resemblance to him. But I will say, though, I've seen the common reaction to it seems to be that, oh my God, he looks so much like him that it's scary. It's like a clone of Michael. I mean, first of all, he's his nephew, so it's kind of to be expected he looks like him. It's not some random actor who just got off the street who looks like him. But really, I mean, he doesn't look so close to him that it's like you think he's a clone of him. I mean, he looks like him, sure, but not to that extent. But the other thing I noticed about the film is, and this is a quote that I noticed from Entertainment Weekly, which is, and I believe this is from some sort of press release they put out, which I just found from online. Quote, "The film presents his triumphs and tragedies on an epic cinematic scale, from his human side and personal struggles to his undeniable creative genius, captured by his most iconic performances." Now, I can't speak for everyone, but to me, that doesn't sound like a movie that's going to look at his life very impartially, and just kind of let you judge for yourself who he was and what to think of him and his legacy or whatever. That sounds to me like a movie that's just going to portray him as the king of pop, I guess, which is, that's his whole title. That's what he is. But, he was more than that. He was a human being as well. You might want to maybe focus a little bit on what he did outside of his music, I guess. And I know that they're mentioning his human side and personal struggles, but I don't know. To me, that doesn't really sound like it's going to be a kind of movie that looks at his life from a benevolent perspective, or that's not the correct word, but from a untouched, unbiased perspective. But another interesting thing is, according to Deadline, the producers are, and I'm going to probably say this wrong, but John Branca and John McClane, not from Die Hard, and they are also the co-executors of Michael Jackson's estate. And I was going to make a joke again saying, don't make any judgments on what that means for what the movie's going to be like. Don't make any judgments. I'm just telling you the facts. But really, I mean, I'm not in business or anything like that. I hardly know what that means, what that entails, what that's going to be for the movie. So I don't know. I just genuinely won't tell you what to think. But at the same time, being involved with Michael Jackson's estate doesn't exactly make it sound like it's coming from, again, the perspective of people just looking at his life and letting you make the decision. So, again, like I said, I don't want to make any sweeping statements on what Michael Jackson did behind closed doors, what he was like, all that. I mean, that's for you to decide. We all know who he is. you can decide what you think about the allegations against him and if you choose to believe them or choose not to believe them. But with with all that information from what you've heard about how they're presenting it, I mean, does it seem like the movie will seriously take a look at his life impartially? And I would like to see what the trailer will be like. That's another thing. When the trailer comes out, that's probably going to be another discussion portion just to talk about that, because all we really know for now is that they got a guy who looks like Michael Jackson, who's related to him, who's you know probably wants to portray Michael pretty well in the movie. And I don't mean do a good job acting as him. I mean portray him in the way Michael, if he was still alive, would have liked to be portrayed in. And that it's going to be produced by Michael Jackson's estate's co-executors. So I don't know. You tell me what you think of it from that perspective. But like I said, as someone who's not even really a big fan of these movies anyway, I mean, I wasn't too excited for the movie in the first place. And as someone who isn't even a massive fan of Michael Jackson or anything, I wasn't looking forward to it too much. But I feel like this is just kind of a call for there has to be a limit. I feel like to when people kind of get tired of these type of movies and are like, okay, you can only make the same movie about the guy who rose from nothing to take the world by storm and had personal problems in his life, but was an amazing person. You can only take those so far. And I don't know what it is, but just with Michael Jackson, that seems to be the tipping point to me, because he is, again, I am not going to comment on. It's even more than that. I should stop reiterating the whole sexual assault. I mean, it's even beyond that. It's just he was clearly a strange guy, and I'm not saying that they need to do a movie where they portray him as like a guy picking worms out of the ground and eating them or something in his free time, but he was a bit of a crazy character. He was a guy who enjoyed messing with the media, and because it kind of goes as when you look at news reports about how he was buying the Elephant Man's bones or that he slept in a hyperbaric chamber, there's two ways of looking at it. Some people say they were just lies, and some people say he kind of played with the media to get those put in so he didn't fade away, his star didn't fade away, stuff like that. And okay, that's fine, but clearly that's not a perfect angel trying to just live his life, and when that stuff happens. I feel like he's clearly he's a person with some nuance to him, like most of us out there, and I just don't think the movie's going to reflect that. And not that I really expected any musician biopic, regardless of the facts, to do that, but it would have been nice, would have been interesting. But besides all that, I may see the movie just because, above all that, I guess for the same reason, taking Michael Jackson as a person out of it, how corny it probably will be, if I had to guess how much it's going to, say how cool Michael was his whole life and how he was the greatest man who ever lived, and how he's the king of pop and all that crap. So, I guess we'll have to, wait to see that. I mean, I think I said before 2024 movies suck. I think this is 2025 when this is coming out. Maybe 2025 is not looking up, but I don't know. To be fair, I said that I'm not going to see these 2024 movies I was, taking a dump all over. I might see this just to kind of, laugh a little bit at. And maybe it'll actually be good, I mean, I won't write that off completely. Maybe it will be. We'll see what happens. But I will say one last thing about it, and like I said, this is going to be a shorter segment on the show, that I thought was a bit funny is that the name is just Michael, apparently. And I don't know what it is, but that just really, that seems pretty egotistical to me. I hate when, people try to brand a first name. I mean, there are a few people who get the right of just you say their first name and they know who you're talking about, like Ellen DeGeneres or Conan O'Brien to an extent. I feel like there's celebrities where, their names, if you just say their first name, people just kind of know who you're talking about, which maybe Conan O'Brien is kind of just because that's a unique name. But, Michael is a pretty common name. A lot of celebrities have the name Michael. And for a lot of people, I don't know, is he the most famous Michael? There's a good case to make for that. Maybe he is. But does that mean he gets to just claim the first name Michael? No, it doesn't. There's more than Michaels than just that. I mean, I know that, they're not trying to claim he's the only Michael ever, but something about that just kind of annoys me. I thought they were going to call it like King of Pop or something, which maybe, and again, I know that my point is that it's egotistical to call the movie just Michael. Yeah, well, my title suggestion is just to take this title that is already pretty egotistical and just make that the title of the entire movie. But I don't know, something about that that idea doesn't bother me as much. I don't know what it is, but I thought they might call it something like that, or make it like Bohemian Rhapsody was, make it one of his song names, I guess. I don't know, something like that. Although I don't know what song they could have chosen. Black or White, maybe. Okay, no. I mean that one. Maybe if they were going a different direction with that movie, they could have named it that. But Yeah. Anyway, we'll I think we're gonna wrap this up, but yeah, the movie might be good. I don't know. The production value might be good. I have no doubt they'll probably put a lot of money into it because that's I think they don't doubt it will make money, which it probably will. But so if I don't go, someone has to go and tell me how it is, I guess. But look forward for people who are tired of me talking about the movie, and I'm almost done with it, so I don't blame you. Um, Look forward to me talking about the trailer again for 10 minutes, and yeah, we'll see where that gets us. But